Sir, we
Hmm.
need some study materials for Fortinet, sir. That
Yeah, yes,
main
yes.
book is not enough, sir. That one is around 3,000 pages. How to study from that, sir?
No problem. We'll arrange something. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry. So step by step, we'll start the classes. Then I'll say, okay.
Okay.
But you know, Muthu, these 3,000 pages is very important because they have multiple sections. So most of the things you are going to find officially from that ebook. So just keep that in your reference. Okay. All right. So where are the rest of the people? Hi, Sergeant.
Hi, sir.
Hello. How are you?
I am fine.
Good. Pritam also joined. Hi, Pritam.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good. Okay, so let's start our session. Slowly we'll start. I know many people need to join, so they are going to join very soon. Might be the first working day, so people are feeling lazy. But first of all, Happy New Year to you all, right? Hopefully this year is going to be fantastic in terms of the learning. You guys are going to upgrade a lot yourself. Okay. All right. So let's start our session without any further delay. And we are going to have a discussion very basic stuff of the FortiGate firewall. And in today's session, we'll try to understand how basically FortiGate firewall is going to configure from the scratch. Okay. I'm not going to like invest a lot of time while doing discussion on the course content and other things. We'll keep trying to discuss these all things while doing our study, certification and all. These are the small things we'll discuss definitely. And how our course curriculum is going to look like and what all certification you guys are going to achieve. Definitely, I'll discuss that. But in last session, we had the basic foundation of the FortiGate firewalls, at least not a firewall, at least basic product knowledge about the firewall and all. So let's make a session more interactive. And let's suppose you have the requirement to just do the configuration of any FortiGate firewall. So how you are going to do that step by step configuration and what is your approach of doing that particular FortiGate firewall configuration? So that we are going to understand. Okay. So that is basically comes under the initial configuration of the FortiGate firewall. All right. So before I'm going to configure the FortiGate firewall, first we have to visualize how basically FortiGate firewall is going to look like. So you guys just went through that this diagram in last session. Let me show you. So probably if you have the any FortiGate firewall, you are going to get this kind of the images. Okay. So in this image, you can see that we have the multiple ports. Here we can see we have some status that is going to show your alarm. There are some kind of the LED also, which is showing that your FortiGate firewall is a functional. This is the console cable also. And there are different ports. You can see this is the management port. This is the WAN port. Some ports are going to use for the LAN port, but this port is acting as a HA port. So let me just write it. So these are the HA port. This is the my WAN port, and this is for management port, right? MGMT port, and this is supposed to be like you want to do the console, so you can take the console from this particular port as well. And there are different LEDs where we can see what is the current state of the firewall. So whenever you have the any firewall, they come in the multiple like models. Some are the very small firewalls, some are the big firewalls. So as I mentioned in the product matrix as well, you can see we have the lot of firewalls models, and each and every firewall model have their own requirements, right? Means if you have the small office, probably you can just go with the small range of the firewall. If you have the data center, you have the very kind of the hybrid kind of the like environment where you just connecting multiple domain together. Then probably you have to go with the mid range and the high range of the firewalls. It totally depend on the how many connection you want to build, what type of the network topology you have, how many data you are processing, and accordingly you have to decide that firewall for your network. So most important, whenever you deploy the firewall and you have to install the firewall in your data center environment or the branch location environment, you have the right understanding in terms of the how basically I can do the step-by-step configuration. If anything is going to be wrong on the branch location, then how I can guide my local IT people to just help to troubleshoot. So being engineer, if you're not able to visualize what is happening on the branch location, then it is very difficult to you to basically you guide, your local IT people. So that's why it's very important, guys, to know the physical like architecture of the any firewalls. It's might be the Palo Alto FortiGate, but we are going to discuss about the FortiGate firewall. So you should know like we have the console cable. So how the console cable is going to be connected, which port. So you can guide like there is a one port which is going to show you the console, and you need to connect that. There is a USB port as well. We have the management port as well. We have the HA port as well, and REST port can be used for the LAN connectivity. Some port are dedicated for the WAN connectivity. Higher model have this kind of that segregation. If you're going to use for lower model, any port can be used for the LAN, any port used for the WAN. And similarly, if I have some kind of the high rate connectivity, means you want to connect the fiber. So we have the SFP port as well. And this SFP port can be act as a LAN, can act as a WAN as well. So this is the full architecture, and we can do the configuration. But when I talk about the some small range of the firewall, very small range of the firewall, they probably not have dedicated management port, right? They probably not have the dedicated HA port. They have the console port, and they are going to have the normal your LAN and WAN ports, but they not have the management port and HA port. So how I can configure those firewall, right? And also if I have the VM series of the firewall, like let's suppose I want to deploy some firewall in the virtual environment. So how those firewall is going to be deployed, and what is the strategy is going to happen to deploy those firewall, and how I can take the console of the firewall. So the first step, let's suppose you have the requirement, very brand new firewall you are going to purchase, and you have to deploy that. Then what is the first step in terms of the physical, in terms of the virtual? So the taking the console in the virtual, it's not possible because virtual image is going to deploy in the server. And if you take the server access or might be the VM access, you can simply open the virtual devices in the browser via the HTTPS console, or might be you are going to install some kind of the third party of the software, and based on that, you can just access that, right? But in case of the any physical connectivity, you must have to have connect your console cable on the console port of the firewall. Let's suppose this is the console, right? Port, and one side you have to connect one of the PC, and this console cable must be connected via the RJ45, right? And one side, another side the USB, and then after you have to install some putty or might with the secure CRT, and then you have to open the terminal. You are going to get the CLI access of the firewall, and then after you can do the configuration of the firewall, and rest of the things is going to be happen like by default, like you want to take the geo access and all, then it is going to be happen. Okay, so in our scenario, let me show you. So you can see this is a FortiGate firewall. So what I'm going to show you in our scenario, what is going to be happen? Let's suppose you have the very brand new firewall and you want to take the console access. Where is my screen? Okay. So let's suppose this is my firewall. This is my lab, and I have the very brand new firewall. Let me figure out where day zero. Okay, so this is lab. Okay, so this is day zero lab. So this is not a physical firewall. This is the virtual firewall. So how I can configure my virtual firewall, and what is the step-by-step process I need to do the configuration of this particular virtual firewall? So basically, in the virtual environment, we don't have option to connect the console on the console port. So in a VMs, port 1 means port 1 is always going to use the management port. Okay. So simply from the port 1, let's suppose you map your NIC card and you're configuring any IP address, and that IP is reachable through your any remote terminal, then you are going to access that via the putty or any other media. Let's suppose you're doing in the lab, okay, and you want to take the console from the lab. So you just connect the virtual PC in this particular port, and you can exactly do in the same in the virtual environment as well. Let's suppose you're totally in the virtual environment, so you just have to do the virtual VLAN inside of your switching, and you have to connect the virtual cables, and based on that, you are going to configure your firewalls. So what I'll do that, I'll simply, let's suppose I did this firewall. Let me do that. And I'll just go and add one new firewall here. So I'll go here and let me figure out. This is the Fortinet, and I'll use the VM 7.0.9, and I'll just click OK. And in this, what I'll do that, I will connect. If you want to change the design of this particular firewall, so you just go here and you can just figure out the design if you want something else. So let's suppose I want to use this firewall. So I can just select that, and this design is going to be changed. Let me, okay. So see, this is going to look like this way. And then what is the next step? The next step, I need to connect my port 1 from this firewall to this management PC. So this management PC, I'll just go and connect this. Okay. This port 1 to the management PC, and this is going to be connected. What after that? I need one set of the IP address on this particular port, another set of the IP address on this particular port, and based on that, I can just do the configuration. Okay. So if I want to take the GUI access or might be the CLI access from the putty and all, then we just have to do this configuration, right? So how this is going to be happen and what is the step by step is going to be configured, that we have to check. But one more thing you have to remember, let's suppose you are purchasing the any FortiGate firewall, and that is like the physical firewall, and you have the management port. So there are the default IP address as well. So on the, let's suppose this is your firewall. Let me show you. And you want to do the configuration. This is a firewall. There is a management port. So this port, you don't have to configure any IP address. If there is a management port available already by default, so this one having the already default IP address, and this IP address is always going to be 192.168.1.99. So what do you have to do that? You just have to connect one PC here, and this IP is already available on this particular management interface, and you have to configure, let's suppose 192.168.1.100 here. So they are going to belong in the same subnet. So you can ping from this PC to this port, and further after reachability is there, you just go in the browser and do the HTTPS and take the firewall access. That's all. And after that, you are able to just do the navigation of the GUI access. But because we are in the virtual environment, so we don't have that luxury to do that. So I have just taken the reference IP address here. .10 is going to be configured on this port 1, which is just going to act as the management interface. And .11 is going to configure on this particular interface, which is the PC NIC card. So simply I will turn on this firewall from here, and I will turn on this PC. Once I'll turn on this PC and firewall, I will double click on this particular firewall. So I'll just click on this. This firewall is going to boot. Okay. And I also double click on this particular PC, and it is also going to be start. So just wait for a few seconds. They are going to be ready, and then we'll do the configuration. Okay. So see, this firewall is getting booted, and after that it will show some output where we have to put the username and password. So now my firewall is ready. Okay. So I have to log in. So how I can log in it? So you just have to put the default username as a admin, and password, no password. Means you just have to press enter. You just have to put username, and you have, for password it will prompt, you just have to press enter without any password. Okay. Special thing you have to note. This is a special thing in the FortiGate only. Rest other firewalls have the default username, default password. But in the FortiGate, you just have to put admin and then enter very first time when you're doing the first time login, either the CLI or GUI. Okay. Password, you don't have to put anything, press enter. And then you have option to set a new password. Okay. So I will set any new password. Probably I'll just put the admin again. So see, now I'm in the FortiGate firewall. All right. So this is the very first step. We have to set the password. After login, we have to put username. There is no password, and then we have to set on password. Okay. So here I just use the admin. Now, how I can make sure this interface will get an IP address? So there is two ways. This interface can get IP address via the DHCP or via static. So in this scenario where my PC is just connected with this means this FortiGate firewall port is connected with this PC, this device is not capable to give the IP address from the DHCP. So this will never going to get IP address from the DHCP. So it will by default try to get IP address from the DHCP because the interface is configured under DHCP. It will always try to get IP address from DHCP, but this is not capable device who is going to release the IP address in the DHCP. So another way we have to do the configuration in such way so we can assign the IP address static. So manually I have to assign the IP address. So first check whether this interface is trying to get IP address DHCP or static. And then after that, we'll see the next step configuration. So how I can check that? So you just try to run show system interface and put the question mark. So you see this port 1 is trying to get IP address from DHCP because the default mode of this port is a DHCP. So till the time this port is going to stay in DHCP, it will try to get IP address and it will not even allow to set the IP address manually because it is configured at DHCP. So let me show you how I can try to give the IP address. So if you want to give the IP address in this interface, so I have to write the config system interface. You guys might note this command. So I'm just going to do the configuration in the interface of this particular firewall. System interface means the firewall interface. And if I try to edit this port, what is the port number? This is the port 1. So I'll just write the port 1. And then after I'll try to set IP address. And I'll just try to give 192.168.10. What is IP address? 10.10. And I'll give the net mask like this .0. See, cannot change dynamic IP. See, this is the prompting an error. Why? Because this has been already in DHCP. And if you are going to give the IP address in the static, it is not possible, guys. So first thing, we have to change this DHCP mode to the static mode. Then only we are going to get an IP address. So what you have to do that, you just have to go in the config system, edit port, and before this command, you have to run command set mode static. Okay. That means I'm changing from DHCP to static. Then I can assign the IP address. So I can just run this command. Now if I go and give the IP address set IP 192.168.10.10 and the subnet mask, then it is going to take this IP address. So now I'm able to change my IP address. Okay. Now what is the next thing? So next thing, let's suppose you want to ping this interface. You want to ping this interface. So by default, this ping is not going to work. Might be HTTPS not going to work. You can see here, let me show you what all default services is going to be there. So I'll just exit here. And if I, let me put end command and so system con interface port 1. So if I'm running this command, you can see. So by default, I change the IP address, but if you're checking the allowance, so this port have this 3-4 services by default enable: ping, HTTPS, SSH, HTTP, and FGFM, right? So these are the FortiManager services, FortiGate services. These are the enables, right? So if you want to do a telnet, this service is not going to work for you because this service is not enabled on this interface. SSH is going to work, but if you want to enable the telnet, it is not going to work for you. So by default, ping is enabled and HTTP SSH is enabled, but someone is going to ask how I can enable telnet. So how can I do that? I can go in the config again, and I have to go in the config system interface. I need to go here, and then after go in the edit port again, and I can just type edit port 1. I'm in the port 1, and here I can just put the set allowance command. This is the management profile. You can just think when the Palo Alto firewall. So I'm just allowing some services. These services now ping is already allowed, HTTPS is already allowed, SSH is already allowed. So I'm just going to keep those services same to same. FG, FM is allowed. Now I want to run the telnet as well. So I allow the telnet. Now I'll go and end this command. And if I just run again command, let me this. So see, now telnet is also enabled on this particular interface. Earlier it was not there. But what I'll do that, I'll just go here and let me run this command. I'm just going to hold on. I'm just going to allow this, run this single command. Okay, edit port 1, I need to go. Let me go from the scratch. So system interface port 1. So this is the all command. Let me go config system interface and edit port 1, right? And if I just go and run the set allowance, and I'm just going to run like something SSH only. So now you see that. Let me show you what I'm trying to make a point here. Oh, show command I need to run. See, if I run the single command, okay, so only single services will enable. So always you have to make a point when many people make the mistake during the productions. If you want to add some management like command, like you want to SSH, telnet, so whatever the prior services enabled on that particular interface, you have to make sure that services should be intact. And while doing the configuration, you have to put a new services along with the old services from the CLI. GUI, I'll tell you how it is going to happen. So I will do the same step, make sure like I will allow everything as per the edit port 1, and I'll simply copy these all things and I'll paste it here. And now I'll show you again. So if you see here, so system interface, probably port 1. So you are going to find this all configuration. So I hope you guys understand. Now if I run this command, so system interface, and put the question mark, now you see this port has been changed in the static mode, and this port have the IP address. Okay. And you can see this is the up IP address and everything is fine. So now I have to go another thing on the PC. This is my window PC. And after going on that, what I have to do that, I will just configure this window PC as well here with the same range of the IP address. So I will go here. Let me go here. I'll go here and I'll just, I'll go in my network. I will change my adapter settings. And here I'll just go and define the IP address 192.168.10.11. So I'll put it here 192.168.10.11 and 192.168. There's no gateway is going to be required because they are going to belong in the same broadcast. So if I want to give the gateway, it is possible. If I don't want to give, it is also possible. So I'll simply click OK. Okay, and this is done. So you will see this is going to get an IP address. So this is my network and this is my kind of the IP address. So let me go and check the point-to-point connectivity. Let me check my CMD. Where is CMD? Okay. So if I check the IP config, this is IP config, and if I try to ping my FortiGate management IP address, say it is reachable. So now we are fine till here. There's no problem at all. Now what is the next step? So I have to take the GUI of this particular firewall. So how can I take that? I will go here and I will just simply type the IP address 192.168.10.10. Sorry, I put the wrong IP address. Let me put 192.168.10.10. And here is like you can see the login prompt. And I'll put the admin and password is admin. So I'll be able to log into this particular firewall. So it is asking you want to do some basic configuration while onboarding the firewall, like the changing the host name, changing the password, dashboard settings. So you can begin it or you can might be do the later. Let me click on the begin. So if you want to change their host name, so you just put the demo firewall and click OK. And OK. I'm not going to change much. So you can see now my firewall is loading. So we are all good. And this is my FortiGate firewall. So now you can see now we have this kind of the firewalls, right? And this firewall is having like various details, right? You can see we have the dashboard, we are getting that host name, and this host name not changed for some reason. Why it's not changed? I changed the host name, but okay, no worry, we'll change it later. Okay, somehow it not reflected in the VM. But you can see the host name, we have the serial number of the firewall, we have the firmware of the firewall, mode is showing the NAT mode of the firewall. We can see like different kind of license. We have the we have the web filtering, we have the antivirus, we have the IPS, we have the firmware and general updates, FortiGate supports as well. So we have the different kind of the information on this particular firewall dashboard. And later on, let me do one thing. What I can do that to just nice view, I'll just turn on this firewall from here and it will get the DHCP address, IP address, and I'll show you in my local PC how it is going to be look like. Just wait. So I'll nicely explain to you all about the dashboard. So right now in this particular section, it's showing very small dashboard. So look and feel is not too good. So just give me 1 minute. I'll just make sure the look and feel is going to be very good. So here it is going to get IP address from the DHCP because this device is the DHCP capable device. You can see this device is DHCP capable device and we are going to get directly IP address from the DHCP. There's no PC at all. And from that, because I'm in the LAN environment of this particular virtualization environment. So what I'll do that I'll just log in this FortiGate firewall from my local PC. So now you can see here I'm going in the admin, no password. I'll put again password, admin only. And if I just run the source system interface, you can see this is the getting IP address, this one, 139. So it is getting from the DHCP this time. So you have the both flavor. If you have the DHCP present in your network, so you are going to get the IP from a DHCP. If there is no DHCP, so first you have to change your port from the DHCP to static, and then you can assign the IP address, and then you can work the firewall. So now let me log in this firewall. So I'll just simply go into my browser and I'll put the 139. This is the IP address. So see, I'm in the FortiGate firewall and here view is fine because it is going to give the nice look and feel. So I'll just put the host name demo firewall, and I'll click OK. Okay. Can you see the dashboard now? Okay. So there are videos going to be play, and you can just see some kind of the parameters about that particular firewalls. But here you can see that we are on the dashboard. In this dashboard, you can see some information, system information. We having the serial number, we having the firmware, we having the some licensing. You can see we have some kind of the like FortiGate manager licensing, CPU allocation, virtual machine. And you can see FortiGate cloud, there is no supported. And there are the current running the CPU utilization, memory utilization, sessions we have, right? So different things we have on the dashboard. We'll do the deep dive. But if I want to just change something in dashboard, that is absolutely possible. I can do the changes as well. Let's suppose this picture I don't want to see here. So I can remove from here. Similar to the poll order, I don't want to see this particular section. So I can remove from here, right? If I want to move this section from here to here, it is possible. I can move that. I want to move this on top. It is possible. I want to move this in the left. It is possible. So different this I want to see somewhere in this section. It is possible. So we can customize the dashboard as per our need as well. So you should, let's suppose you don't want to, like, you want to resize this license part, like from the 1 column to 3 columns. See, so if I click on here, see, this is going to show in this particular format. There are 3 columns are available here. If I want to just change into 2, so you can see this is a 2 column. Like if I want to change in the 1 box, it is going to show in the 1 box only. Similarly, you can see this is the memory already having the two box. I want to make the 5. See, so this is a very long box for me. Again, I want to short. It is possible. I can make it short as well. So let me show you. So this is going to be again a short. So this is how you can just navigate your dashboard. You can customize it. Let's suppose you want to add something new on dashboard. You're not happy with these 5 parameters. You don't want to see this particular cloud. So you can remove it. But let's suppose you want to add something widgets on your dashboard. This is also possible. You just have to go in the add widgets, and we have the lot of options available here. Let's suppose I want to use the VPN things. So I'll just add, and I will click on the add widgets. So see, there is a VPN things is going to be added in the dashboard. So now you can see these are the VPN things. So there is no VPN right now, so it is not showing much. But if I want to add, it is absolutely possible. I can add that also. If I want to delete, this is possible. I can delete. So anything you want to add, delete, customize, it is absolutely possible. I can add it. I can remove it. I can delete it as well. Okay, guys. So I hope you will understand about the basic dashboard widget, which is going to be added on the FortiGate firewall. DNS I just recently added. You can see DNS. These are public, and they are just getting the live logs. So if I want to make this DNS is a little bit bigger, so you can see this is the 2 box. So it is going to be give the nice and good view where it is trying to reach this DNS IP address, which having the latency 130 milliseconds. Along with that, we have the different public DNS also, and this latency also having the 80 milliseconds. Now, this is the status of the dashboard. Similarly, if I want to check the security, it is more about the security. So there is no information available. There is no host scan summary. There is no vulnerability. There is no threat. There is no verdicts. There is no endpoint device which are going to be affected by the vulnerability, because we not have done any configuration on this particular firewalls. So later on, when we do the configuration, we'll see that some report is going to be there when we'll do the testing on the spying activity, vulnerability, malware, DOS. So we'll see some kind of the logs are going to be available in these sections. So you guys going to see that information. Similarly, we have some network. So network is like what routing you configured. There is SD-WAN, SSL, VPN, IPsec, DHCP. So right now there is no route, because only we have this default route by default created, because we have taken the IP from the DHCP. So by default, it is created one of the default route pointing to the next hop IP address. So we didn't created this. By default, it has been created. But if let's suppose I want to add any routing. So how can I add this routing? So we just have to do this routing in the network part. So we'll see how it is going to happen. But let me show you, like, just for the example, if I want to create any dummy route, let me create like 1.1.1.1/32. Gateway, I want to put like 192.168.1.1. Interface, I want to put this one. and I just created this route. So this route is automatically going to reflect in the network section. So earlier there were 2 routes. Now you see we have the 3 routes. So anything is going to happen in the routing section, it is going to reflect by default in this particular section in routing, right? And similarly, anything is going to happen in the DHCP. Right now, DHCP is not configured. It is also going to happen. And we are not going to touch SD-WAN in this particular module, but yes, SD-WAN related things also going to be reflected here. And SSL VPN things also going to be reflected here. So I hope you guys understand. So network is something about the more networking. Security is more about the real-time security. Status is just overall how it is functioning on the dashboard, whatever the information you want to see from this particular all sections. Means you can see from the, let's suppose you want to see the routing on the dashboard. So just click on the routing and add the widgets. So now you're going to get the routing information itself on the dashboard. See, this routing is available on the dashboard. You don't have to go in the networks. So it is going to completely work as per your customization. What information you want to see directly on the dashboard, or the same information you want to see in the security, network, user devices. So this is going to give the information about the different sections. And if you want to add more sections from here, like you want to add some custom, or let me my dashboard. So if I am just going to create my dashboard and I want to add any widgets, that is also possible. So let's suppose I want to see the DHCP, so I can add it here. I want to IP payload license, I can add it here. I want to see the IPsec, that is also possible. I want to check the routing, that is also possible. So whatever things I want to see that is possible, I can just custom my dashboard, and this is going to show you the similar kind of the dashboard. So you can just go your own dashboard or the by default dashboard, or you can create whatever you want that. Okay. So I hope you guys understand basic dashboard functionality, how it is going to look like. Now let's move a little bit further, and let's suppose you are doing any troubleshooting. So right now there is no logs, but I'm just giving the brief idea, and later on we'll see how this logs is going to look like and how the step-by-step troubleshooting is going to happen. So you can see we have the 40 view source, we have the 40 view destination, applications, websites, policies, and sessions. So based on that, we don't have any information right now, but this is just for the troubleshooting. Means any log you want to see that real time, those logs are like new source IP address logs is going to be available here. Any destination is going to be available here. Any application you want to check, that is going to be available here. Any websites which you have visited from the land, that is going to be available. So you can just filter. There are a lot of filtering criteria. You can see here, put the application. If you go here, if you click here, you will have to put the source IP address. So right now we don't have source IP address, but let's suppose I want to put this source IP address. So whatever the traffic is available for this particular source IP address, this is going to show as a filter traffic. So you can figure it out which source IP address has initiated what traffic and where it is going on. And based on that, you can just, see all entire log from your point of view, from your user point of view. So we'll see how it is going to look like. Any question, guys, still here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sean, please.
So I have a question here. You're talking about applications, like we are talking about applications which are running on our systems. Are we
Yes.
talking about the ports like TCP or UDP ports?
Application is like any application. Let's suppose you are accessing the any HTTP application. So this is the one of the HTTP is like kind of the port 80. It is going to work, and based on that port 80, a lot of application we are going to access, like HTTPS, right? This is something it's going to work on the 443 port number, but there are a lot of HTTPS website. So these are the basically services, and on these services we are accessing multiple URLs, multiple website. But when I talk about the applications, these are the next generation firewall. These firewalls understand your real-time application, like Facebook application. They are talking about the Gmail application. They are talking about the YouTube application. They are talking about the WhatsApp application, any gaming application. These are the real applications. So Based on these application, if you want to do any kind of the filtering, this is also possible. But these application also going to require the some services, that is the HTTPS services. So services something different, application something different. Okay, Sean?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Hey, how to save the changes when you do changes by using a CLI?
So in CLI, it's a very unique thing. Like you didn't notice, I didn't do any like commit and write. Whenever you
Exactly.
make any changes, right, it will auto save. Let's suppose immediately going to apply. Let's suppose I created the, let me go here, config system interface, edit port 1. And I just, let's suppose I want to change some IP address. So once I'll just change any IP address, or might be the set allowance, HTTPS, HTTP, SSH. I don't want to allow telnet right now. I want to allow the ping. So now only 4 services. So now done. Once I'll put command end, it will auto reflect and changes has been done. So show system. Let me show you. So system interface port 1. If you run this command, see, this has been reflected automatically. So you don't have to do any commit and all. You just have to exit from the particular command and then it will automatically reflect, like with Cisco. But Cisco, you have to write the configuration. Here, you don't even have to write the configuration. It will auto write as well.
Okay.
Okay, Amol?
Yeah, and port 1 is the by default management port, or some firewall comes with a different or dedicated management port?
Yes, as I mentioned that if you have the lower end firewalls or the virtual firewalls, they always come as a port 1 as a management port. But if you have the physical firewall, they have the dedicated management port. You can see.
Okay.
And this management port have this IP address 192.168.1.19.
99.
If you want to take the GUI access, you connect your PC and put this IP address, and they will ping together, and you can just take the access. Right, Amol?
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Now, I hope you guys understand about the basic fundamental of the FortiGate firewall, how we can take the GUI access. Shall I move next? Or anyone have any question? No? Shall I consider no? Everyone is happy?
Not happy. We don't know anything.
Oh, you don't. Don't worry, you are here to learn, right? One is asking, Sai asking is, I want to know about the policy and object section. So definitely, policy is something. Without policy, you can't do anything. So I was about to cover these all things. So we have the different section, guys. You can see that after dashboard, we have the network. So I'm just quickly briefing each and every section so you guys can understand which section, what we have to learn. Later on, I will do the step-by-step configuration as well. So at least you're familiar with the FortiGate firewall dashboards, and then we'll do the configuration. So in network section, everything networking related, you have to do that. Like you have to configure the interface, you have to do the DNS configuration, packet capture, SD-WAN, static route, policy-based routing, REAP configuration, OSPF configuration, BGP configuration, routing object, multicast. So anything related to the routing, always you have to do the network sections. And these are most important things, right? So we'll see even how to do the redistribution as well. Means let's suppose you are running the one side OSPF and one side the BGP. So if I want to exchange the route from the OSPF to BGP, how can I do that? If I want to do the same vice versa, then how it is possible? If I want to do the redistribution, then how it is possible? So these all things we are going to configure. We'll configure the RIP, we configure the static route, we configure the OSPF, we configure the BGP. Also, we configure the policy-based routing. That's the most important thing. So how the policy-based routing is going to configure, right? So in network sections, we have to do a lot. Without networking, nothing is going to work in the firewall domain. Then I'm coming to the policy and object, right? So Sai is asking how the policy and object is going to be configured. So firewall policy, like, is the most important thing, guys. Without policy and without networking, you cannot, run the operation of the any firewalls, because networking is the basic connectivity is going to be required, and that is only possible with the routing by the static or dynamic. But at the same time, you have to control your traffic. So control your traffic, that means you have to deploy your policy. And based on the firewall policy, you have to filter your incoming traffic, outgoing traffic, what traffic you downloading from the internet, what uploading from the like your PC to the internet, who is going to come inside your network from the outside. Those all filtering is going to happen from the policy. So if I go and little bit show you the policy have a lot of kind of the sections. If I create the firewall policy, if you want to create the policy, you can see we have to give the name of the policy. Let's suppose I'm giving the test name. We have the incoming interface, which we don't have right now because we just have the one interface configured. But if I want to use the port 2 outgoing interface where I want to go the internet, source IP address, destination IP address. If I want to schedule this policy for particular time, it should work. So I can just schedule as well. If I want to allow for the always, it is always going to be available. Any services like HTTPS, HTTP. If anything I want to allow, this is also possible. Any others like BGP, DHCP, DNS, NTP, things I want to allow, that is also possible. I can do that. Okay. So we have the different sections. Based on that, we can allow the different things. Here we can see the first sections. We have the source IP, destination IP, services. Now, if I want to allow like whether traffic need to be processed, then I should accept. I want to deny, then I should block the particular traffic, and that game is over. Means you are not going to in my network. You are not going to out from my network. So this is going to happen after allow or deny the things.
Hey, here we do not define any zones like we do in Palo Alto.
So in Palo Alto, that's a good question. In Palo Alto, we have the zone concept. Without zone, you cannot do any configuration. But in the FortiGate, we don't have the zone concept. We have the zone concept, but that zone is totally different than Palo Alto zone. We'll see. The zone concept is still there in the FortiGate as well, but their definition is totally different than the Palo Alto. Okay, Amol? I'll explain what is the meaning of the zone in the FortiGate. In
Okay.
layman, let's suppose you have this FortiGate firewall, okay? And FG firewall. You have the A LAN, you have the B LAN, we have the C LAN, and we have the D LAN, and they all want to go on the internet, right? ISP. So if you want to create the policy, you have to create from the LAN A to internet, right? LAN B to internet, LAN C to internet. So you just have to create the multiple policy. But what I can do that, I want to create one zone and I want to club these all LAN network together, and then I create the policy. Then I can just save my multiple, entries of the policy. So this is how zone is going to work in the FortiGate. That's
Okay,
totally
so
different.
all these interface
Yes.
will get bundled over here, and
Yes. It's
yeah,
kind of the
formula.
bundling, right? If I want to do the segregation, then it is like going to get a multiple entry. But if I want to do the together, then it is going to get a bundle. So John, I'll just configure how it is going to happen. So if I go in the network, we'll discuss. So in this network, if you go here, there is a zone option, right? So if you want to make the multiple port member of this particular zone, even the VLANs, if it's there, they're going to get a zone. Okay. So I was in the policy. So I was discussing the policy. So policy have a lot of things. You can see we have to, again, there are two mode of the firewall. We have to understand what is a flow-based firewall, what is a proxy-based firewall, right? How we can enable the NAT. By default, NAT is enabled. Then it is acting as an outgoing interface, is just going to use as a like translation. Any question?
Yes, I have query.
Yes, please, Pritham.
What if we create a zone and we put our WAN interface in a single zone, like WAN zone, and we are going to be implement a policy, and now I want to implement a single interface there. So is it possible?
Yeah, even if you go and create the zone, let's suppose I'm going here and creating a zone. Let's
Yeah.
suppose you want to create like a WAN zone, right?
Yeah.
And you just want to put single interpret, you can put it.
No,
There's
no,
no.
no, no. I have put three interface here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to create a policy, and in
Mm.
that policy, I just want to uh, uh, apply only single interface, like a three interface, port number 3. Then
Okay, so
in this
this is possible. You don't have to call zone, na? In that case, you just go there, policy.
uh,
You just go there and call the incoming interface is whatever the port we have, right? So you can see now you just club these all ports, right? So these all ports are showing in the single zone, right? But if
yes,
you
yes.
want to create for the single port, then you just have to define, or might be a single zone is going to be there, and based on that we can just call that. So if I just create the new, let me show you how it is going to happen. Let's suppose I create the zone now. So now you can see only one port is there. Okay. And I cannot add it from here. So if I want to go in my policy again, file policy, and incoming interface is there. So now it is going to club all together. And you're asking like one port you want to just match, right?
Yes, I just want to only the port number 2.
Port number 2, right? So this I will check, Pritham, right? It's a good question, but if I create the zone, right? So these all our port are going to be clubbed together. And in this situation, we have to apply the policy according to the zone only, not individual interface not showing here. But I'll just convert this firewall in different mode. Then I'll check if it's possible. But in this scenario, it is not possible. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Sai is asking, we have the public, external, business, and management. So these are the definitions, Sai. These are not something you have to predefine 4 zones available in the FortiGate firewall. Every company might be they have the 10 zone, might be they have the 15 zone, might be they have the 5 zone, 2 zone, 1 zone. So it totally is just a nomenclature. There is no predefined rule like you can just make the public zone, external zone, and business zone and management zone. It's up to like your company. But in the FortiGate firewall in zone, if you want to learn, let me show you. They are just, one thing you have to remember, they are just going to club your interfaces, nothing else. So you can see here, there is no segregated name for the zone. So you just have to correct your concept. A zone is a logical group containing one or more physical or virtual interfaces. That's all, nothing more than that. And what name you are going to give, that is up to you only. But as Pritham mentioned, that if you are going to club the interfaces, right? So we have to make sure the policy is always going to align to that interfaces. And once you're going to club, that means they have the similar kind of the policy. I need to check if I have the one interface requirement, then how it is going to possible. That's a good question for me as well. So that's a good task. I'll just check, Pritham. I'll get back to if possible or not. But yes, once we do that, they are going to like make a bundle and we have to create a policy accordingly. Okay, so moving next, where I was. Yeah, so I was there, like we have to do a lot of things here, guys. Like NAT, we have the security profiles, like we have to understand how the antivirus, web filtering, DNS filtering, application control, file control, SL inspection, how it is going to be configured. So policy have a lot of things. Also, we have to understand DOS policy, and then we have the addresses, how we can create the addresses. So similar in the Palo Alto, we have the object group and address group. Similarly, here we have the address. And based on that, if you click the address, we can go here, we will find that address and address group. So if I want to get the address for anything like test, I want to give the IP like 1.1/32. I can give, and you can be assigned to any interface or might be the one interface. So you can see this address is created. If I want to give the group, then I can create the group and I can call the multiple addresses. So we'll see how it is going to happen later stage and how this is going to be created. Then we have the services. Similarly, I can create the multiple services, right? And based on that, we can apply the policy. So this is the internet services. Based on the applications, we can create that. You can see a lot of application are here: DNS, FTP, ICMP, NetBIOS, NTP. But here are the pure layer 4 services. So if I want to create the group, I want to create the services, that is possible. And then there's a virtual IP. We'll see how the virtual IP going to come in a picture in the netting and all. And if you want to schedule anything, I can create a schedule as well. So you can see there is something I want to schedule or any policy need to work for particular time of period, then I can put the schedule and then I call in the policy, then it is going to work. And then there is IP pool, protocol option, traffic shaping for the QS and all. So policy, we learn a lot. Later on, we'll see that. Means once we have the basic understanding about the interface and hardware, and then we'll see that policy also. Now we have the security profiles. This is the advanced feature like IPS IDS. So entire thing we have to do a lot of deep dive on these particular sections where we learn about the anti-spyware, antivirus. So that's why you can see in the policy, these sections are available. If I'm creating here, you can see these are the antivirus, web filtering, DNS filtering, application control, IPS file. These all are the available. These all are going to be called from this particular sections. So we have to create the profile and then we have to call in the policy. Okay. And finally, we have the VPNs, you can see. So we will see how to create the side-to-side VPN, how to create the IPsec side-to-side VPN. Different types of VPN we can create, like the wizard, we have the predefined VPN template, and we have the custom template. We have the hub and spoke, remote access. So remote is a client-to-side VPN, right? SL portal setting, how it is going to happen. So different things in the VPN, we'll do that. We'll understand the VPN concept. And then after we are going to do the configuration, then we have the user authentication, how user is going to be created, how the authentication is going to happen, LDAP integration is going to be look like in the FortiGate firewall. We'll do the LDAP integration as well. And after that, we have the systems. So if I want to update the firmware and all, and I want to do some kind of the HA activity, SNMP, FortiGuard, replacement messages. So we'll see how the replacement message is going to look like. Feature visibility is the most important thing, guys. Some feature are by default not visible. So we have to enable this feature visibility as well. Certificates we have. And finally, we have the like logging. So if I want to do any logs things, like how my traffic forwarding is going to look like, local traffic, events, antivirus, web filtering, SSL, DNS query, file filter, application control, intrusion prevention. So these all logs are going to be there. So if you want to do log level like troubleshooting, so anything logs that is going to be available in very detail. So you're going to find a lot of detailed information about the logs, everything about that particular traffic. So this is the very like high level dashboard overview, but I know you guys are only going to understand once we'll do the step-by-step configuration. So what we'll understand, because the first thing you guys have to understand the interface type. So you can see here in the FortiGate, we have the lot of different type of the interfaces we need to configure. So we have the physical interface, we have the virtual interface of VLAN, we have the aggregated interface, we have the redundant interface, we have the loopback interface, we have the software switch, we have the hardware switch. So we have the zone, we have the virtual wire pair, right? So these all we have to understand. Tunnel interface, VDOMs we have to understand. So these all first we'll cover from the tomorrow onward, right? So what tomorrow we'll do that? Tomorrow I will create one small lab and where I'll just explain the 2-3 type of the interfaces. At least you will understand how my zone is going to be configured and what is the use case. How my redundant interface is going to be configured and what is the use case. What is different with the zone and aggregated interfaces. Okay. So it's also going to bundle, but how we can aggregate different link together and how they're going to work entirely different from the zone. And we also understand the VLAN configurations and physical interface. We know that anything we are going to configure on the any firewall, that is going to be physical interface. Okay, guys. So any question on the dashboard? Anything? Tell me.
Yeah, in a policy section, there was one option. Yeah, proxy based.
I'll explain what is a flow based and what is a proxy based. This is the one concept you have to understand. So we see if I'm enabling this particular mode, some feature are less, but if I'm changing, you can see we have the video filter, some other application are getting added here. So you have to understand what is the proxy based firewall and what is the flow based firewall in the
So in
FortiGate.
a proxy based, so it
Mm.
is behaving like a proxy or how it is?
So technically, it's not behaving as a
Yeah.
proxy, okay, but they are going to add some more inspection on the packet whenever packet is going to process. So I'll explain what is there is a good definition also. So let me show you, but I will I will explain in detail so you understand with the right examples. So
मतलब कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस के हिसाब से कि जिस
somebody is speaking. So let me show you which section it is there. No worry. So we'll cover it,
No issues,
Amol.
yeah.
Okay, we'll cover it in detail because we have a documentation also. So I'll show you some real examples, so you can understand what is a proxy and what is the flow base. So we'll have to cover both of the things because if I'm not going to enable this proxy base, then it is going to not going to capture the video filter traffic. So for some deep inspection, we have to enable this, but it is not actually going to be have as a proxy. There is some different use case for the FortiGate firewall, not like the proxy one. Okay.
Okay, yeah, because one of my customer basically they are using FortiGate as a proxy for a SaaS-based applications.
Mm-hmm.
So what generally they have configured something like that, FortiGate as a proxy, and on a FortiGate they have ILL, and through which they are reaching to the SaaS-based application like Office 365, WebEx,
Mm-hmm.
and other applications as well.
Right. So, right, absolutely fine. So, see, one thing you can understand for time being, until we start the next session, proxy is something you're going to do deeper inspection. Okay. Flow is just you're doing the standard inspection. That's the meaning of the FortiGate firewall.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. I'll show you the documentation and we'll discuss about the use case also. All right. Which case scenario we have to do the proxy based and which scenario we have to do the flow based.
Okay, fine. So basically, proxy base is for the deep inspection.
Yes.
Oh.
You can just think about this way only for timing. Just for the better understanding, we have to do the another discussion on it. All right.
Okay, got it.
Okay, guys. So let's connect tomorrow on the same time.
So what is Zscaler, sir, and what is the program you have in your institute with Zscaler?
GuiNet is something very latest technology. That's SASE solutions, right? So there are two vendors. One is the Palo Alto SASE, one is GuiNet SASE, and that is a Prisma Access, the Palo Alto, and then another is the NetSpoke. So after firewalls, if you want to learn more about security, proxy, cloud security, then it's about the GuiNet. So this is the upgraded version of this, your security knowledge, means security skill set, whatever you have right now, and you want to go the next level, then you have to do the GuiNet. Okay, Muthu?
Thank you.
So probably you ask this tomorrow, I'll explain more on it. All right, guys. Yeah, please.
Is the Zscaler also required in the job?
Yes,
In the
definitely.
jobs nowadays?
It's a future. If you want to earn more, you have to do the GuiNet. And it's a mandatory nowadays. Everywhere
Okay.
people looking for GuiNet, Prisma Access.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's connect tomorrow on the same time. Then we'll continue from here. Okay. Bye bye. Take care.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.